to have you as our guest tonight, Miss Brittany Evans, who is the 2023 Miss Savannah. I had the pleasure of meeting this young lady at the Vendors on Victory ribbon cutting ceremony last week. And to my surprise, walking amongst us was this delightful young woman who bear the name of this city. And I thought, why don't we know about you? Why haven't we heard from you? And so I'm excited tonight to share this platform as she shares some more information and news about what she has coming up next and how we can all help and support her. So we want you to like, and share this post from our Black media and the uh, ATR, All Things Relevant stations, as well as my Facebook page. Well, in a few minutes, I'll share it to my page. So, Brittany, tell us about first the Miss Savannah pageant and help us understand the distinction between Miss Savannah USA and Miss Savannah America, or the Miss America and the USA pageant.
So sorry. Okay, hope you can hear me now. So the pageant world is a little bit new for a lot of people, and there are two main systems, I guess, in America. So there is the Miss America organization, which is a scholarship organization for young women across America, and then there is Miss USA. So Miss USA kind of goes from competing in a local competition like myself, and then you go on to compete for your state title, then go on to compete for Miss USA. And then if you win that, you go to compete for Miss Universe. The system I'm in, which is Miss America, starts with a preliminary competition, a local pageant. And mine was Miss Savannah, and I was fortunate enough to win that. And then I went on to compete for Miss Georgia. I will be competing for Miss Georgia in June. And then if I was to win that, I would go on to compete for Miss America, which would be happening in about December or January time of this year.
Okay, so how did you enter the world of pageantry, and when was the pageant here in Savannah? Because I didn't hear about it.
Yes. So the pageant happened on the 21st of January. And I got started in pageants, gosh, when I was 14. So long ago, it feels like. And I just kind of been doing them on and off. I always loved to dance. I've always been passionate about that. And I thought, what better way to expand my love of being on a stage and sharing my talents with others than to compete in a pageant. So that's kind of where I started. And it took me 2 years to win this title. I competed last year and I was first runner up. And then this year I finally got to win Miss Savannah.
So you didn't give up.
I did not give up. Yes, it's all about perseverance and going after your goals.
Right. So tell me this, what were some of the highlights with regard to the pageant? I know I heard you say you like to dance, so I imagine dance was your talent. But in terms of questions, the attire, your
Yeah.
performance, what were some of the highlights for you and anything unique you want to share with us?
Sure. So the competition is composed of a few parts. The morning time, I had a private interview with 5 judges. It's a panel style, and it's 10-minute interview, and they can really ask you any kind of questions. They can ask you anything from political questions to just personality type questions. And then later on is the actual show. So it opens up with an onstage question. Mine was about how I would make an impact in this organization and how I'd bring more young women into the organization. So I got to answer that question live on stage. I performed my talent, which was a jazz dance. And then the last thing I competed in was evening wear. So I was able to wear an evening gown. It was purple. It was kind of in that shot that you were showing earlier of me. And that was the phases of competition.
Okay, and so in terms of your question, and being that I sit on City Council of Savannah, Georgia, and we haven't recognized you, ma'am, but I want you to know that I did put a request in on your behalf for the City Council to recognize you and your accomplishment.
Thank
Um,
you.
what and how was it that you answered the question in terms of what you would do to market the pageant or so that more people would know about it?
Yes. So my answer, I can't remember it verbatim, but it was something along the lines of talking about just different ways to get involved. So I really want to be an inspiration for all young girls watching out there that you can do this too. This is something that anybody is able to do, and we all have talents and fun things we want to share. And I just told the judges that I would use the resources that I have to be as marketable as possible. So I used to be a teacher in Effingham County High School, and I have a lot of resources through there, young girls that I talk to. So I thought, what better way than to use my resources and the people that I know to get them involved. And then also I work at SCAD now. So I am in college admissions. This is a scholarship competition for young girls pursuing an education. So just different tools and resources that I have in order to spread the word is kind of the message that I gave to the judges.
Awesome. And what school did you graduate from?
Yes, so I graduated from North Carolina State University, and I hold a undergraduate degree in international studies with a minor in history. And then I just loved education so much, I went back and I went to the University of North Carolina at Wilmington, which is down by the shore in North Carolina. And I graduated with my master's degree in European history.
Got it. And when we were talking earlier, you told me that you are the first person crowned in all over 20 years because there was a little bit of a lull with the pageant. And it was kind of interesting that the last person or one of the queens didn't live in Savannah. Are you from Savannah?
So not originally, yes. So last year, there was a girl, Gabby, who was crowned Miss Savannah, and she had the year for a year. She attended school in North Carolina, but she was eligible to compete for Miss Savannah because she lived in the state of Georgia under like her parents, if that makes sense. I am not originally from Savannah. I'm actually originally from Connecticut, so kind of far, but I've lived in the Savannah area for over 2 years. So I live in Pooler technically, but I work at SCAD. I work right in downtown, right in Forsyth Park. So I consider myself a Savannian now. I'm not like an original Savannian, but I do represent the city really well, and we love it here.
Well, people who were born and raised here in Savannah are a little bit hardcore and protective of the city. But I
They
will
are, yes.
do that. I welcome you and embrace you fully, and want you to know that you are a great representative. And I just appreciated your presentation and our first greeting. You left a real impression on me. So let's talk about
Mhm.
a little bit. Um, we here in our city, we are challenged in terms of our provision of activities and outlets for our young people. And we recognize that oftentimes a lot of the athletic programs are geared toward boys, young boys, and
Mhm.
for young girls. But this is a world that I would like to be exposed to many of our young girls and women here in the city. How would they connect with the organization, and what are the steps that you should take if you're interested in becoming a pageant queen?
Yes. So if you are interested in becoming Miss Savannah or even Miss America one day, you can visit either the Miss America website or the missgeorgia.org website, and you can find a local competition in your area if you're listening from somewhere outside of Savannah. If you want to compete directly for Miss Savannah, you can email at misscoastalempire.org. That's misscoastalempire.org. That's will go directly to my directors, and they'll be able to give you all the information to apply.
Okay, and when we cut off tonight, I want you to go back in the chat and put that information there for me. You
Definitely.
said something that really got my attention, and it gets my attention every time I hear it. Um, Brittany, there are so many people I come in contact with on a daily basis who were born here in Savannah, grew up in Savannah, married in Savannah, raised their children in Savannah, or went to school here, but they cannot afford to live here. They acknowledge that they're living in areas like Pooler, Port Wentworth, Garden City, some as far as Statesboro and Richmond Hill, Guyton, if you will. What are some of the dynamics associated with being a young person in Savannah and trying to balance career with just healthy living and decent living in the city? What has been your experience?
Yes. So I live in Pooler. I live on the outskirts. But when I'm talking to my coworkers or friends that live right in the downtown area or just in Savannah, when you have that area code or even just Savannah on your mailing address, it is very expensive to live in the city of Savannah. So my personal platform is actually all about personal finance and teaching others about the value of the dollar and what to do with your money and how to save. And I think this is so critical and such a teaching moment here is to just make sure that when you are thinking about your life after high school or where you're going, and this is what I teach to young kids, it's really important to save your money and to, if you have dreams of living in Savannah or New York City or wherever it is in the world, making sure that you have a goal in place and you're budgeting, you're using strategies that are going to help you prepare yourself, for life after high school, making sure you get a good job, you make those connections, you put yourself out there, have a good resume. That's really the advice I would give.
Well, thank you so much for that advice. It is very vital and important. However, it's becoming more and more of a challenge to balance
Mhm.
those goals and the reality of life here in Savannah. And that's a part of my
Yeah.
that's a part of my job.
Mm.
Promise you that I will be working on that piece if you will promise me to expand your platform, become an advocate for it or an ambassador for the organization so that more young girls and women know about the organization and whatever it is that we can do from the city level to provide assistance to you. Please do not hesitate to let us know. And I know that there are major, major, major financial requirements
Yes.
as you chart your course for that big win. And
Yes.
so hair and makeup to jewelry and attire to whatever coaching you may need, the hotel accommodations, meals. We know that a lot
Mhm.
that. And so, if there is anyone out there who have interest in supporting Brittany, our queen of Savannah, please, please, please reach out to her. Her information will be in the chat. And Brittany, if there's more information or needs you may have that you want to express or tell how people can help you, you can share that now if you want.
Absolutely. Yes. Any donation, no donation is too small. I would definitely appreciate it. To get to Miss Georgia is a big investment. It's a big endeavor. There is something I do have to sell, which is called ad pages. So every year, Miss Georgia has a program book. It's a very thick book. It's like 1,000 pages, and local businesses all across the state of Georgia will sponsor a queen, typically in the one that's in their area. So for Savannah, I'm really looking for like local businesses in Savannah that are willing to put in ads in the program book. The ads are $300, which is in a bit of investment, but so many people across the state of Georgia will look at this book every year and for years to come.
Well, I'm so excited for you, and I know that someone who is listening to us tonight uh, will find interest in supporting you. You are coming across just as you did the other night at the Vendors on Victory, and I just want you to keep that light shining. You are a delightful young woman with a bright future,
Thank
and
you so much.
if you need anything, don't hesitate to call on me. But hopefully, in the next day or so, I'll be calling you with information related to how our city of Savannah can recognize you and provide a bigger platform for you to share your beautiful face, name, and your. So, thank you so much for joining us tonight. And
Thank you.
how about coming back just before you go for Miss America?
Let's do it. I'm totally game. Thank you so much for having me tonight.
No problem. You take care and best wishes to you.
Thank you. You as well. Appreciate it.
So listen, 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 listen. I was happy to share my platform with this young woman. As I stated before, she was left quite an impression on me. Delightful young woman. I never hesitate to find some way to embrace our young people when they are trying and when they are doing the right thing. It has been an incredible time in our city with pollen. I don't know if you can hear me struggling in my voice. I think I have been coughing for 17 days straight. So forgive me for not being on my A game here. But I want to acknowledge a few things before I go tonight. and to say that we are coming off of the Weeping Time commemoration festivals and religious celebrations that we've had across the city. And I want to thank all of our advocate and activist organizations who had their hand in sharing the name out loud, Weeping Time. If you do not know what the weeping time is and who the weeping time impacted, we want you to certainly Google it and find out more. There are a handful of books that are written on the account of the largest sale of enslaved people in the history of America. It occurred right here in Savannah, Georgia. The property is at the edge of Augusta Avenue in West Savannah, right at the 51616 corridor. And so we have, for the greater half of my time on council, been working tirelessly to save the Weeping Time land. There was quite a bit of controversy in 2020 upon our arrival on council. One of the biggest uh, agenda items we were met with was deciding on whether or not to change the use of the property to fit the needs of the Salvation Army, who was seeking to set up a shelter, a transitional center, if you will. As an advocate who served homeless families and children in the Savannah area for nearly 10 years, I know how tough it is for homeless services to stay afloat in this city. Well, back then anyway, I don't. They have an abundance of resources these days, thanks to the city of Savannah, ARPA funds, and a handful of other bailouts and subsidies. But we recognize that it's also difficult for shelter programs to find uh, a physical space in communities, because when people hear the word homeless, instantly the what's called the NIMBY syndrome comes into play. And NIMBY is not in my backyard, an acronym for not in my backyard. Well, that wasn't necessarily the case for the area of the Weeping Time. Primarily, the biggest issue was where the residents and the leaders of that community were concerned was the fact that they had plans. They had plans to create a marker of sorts, to create a monument of sorts, or to create a space of contemplation, if you will, a memorial, a museum, in addition to creating or connecting with a business that could help them create an economic driver for the community, as opposed to putting a vulnerable dynamic on a pre-existing vulnerable community. In that the West Savannah corridors for the greater half of nearly 20 years is by far the most underserved community in the city. And that fact still remains today, despite the fact that both leaders of our county and our city live in that district. Go figure. We'll have a conversation about who you put in office another time when I'm feeling better. Nonetheless, it is important for you to know that as a council, excluding myself, Alderwoman Lanier, Alderwoman Miller Blakely, Alderwoman Brian Lanier, uh, we voted to preserve the land. We voted not to change the use of that property so that it maintained an integral uh, opportunity for future growth, which would aid in the community cultivating the rich history and functionality of the community. Well, this super African American council, a majority on this council voted to desecrate the land. Those votes, the mayor was inclusive in that vote, in that there was acknowledgement that they did not believe that the weeping time actually occurred on that land. Well, not only did it in fact occur in that spot, There are historical accounts of such. There are professional accounts of individuals who do this work. In addition, we recognize, in as much as uh, this issue's brevity is so egregious to our history and to our people, over 400 men, women, boys, girls, babies were ripped from the arms of their family members, never to see them again, and sold into slavery. The mere fact that that act happened in Savannah, Georgia, as far as I'm concerned, the entire city is the weeping time. I had the privilege and honor of visiting Washington, D.C., and took some time to stop by the African American Museum, the newly uh, built museum. I'd never had a chance to go. And in this museum was this huge wall, totally dedicated. Not only was it large in scale, it was very dignified, very uniquely put together. Uh, a display totally dedicated to the weeping time that occurred in March of 1859, right here in Savannah, Georgia. They honor that in Washington, D.C. Ladies and gentlemen, there isn't 1 inch or ounce of representation that would rival what they have in DC. How is that? How is that? Why is that? And this is a fact that has been known by previous African American mayors, mhm, by previous African American commissioners, chairmen, as well as older persons, and nothing was ever done except for hosting a ceremony where a wreath would be laid in honor. And certainly that's welcomed. We embrace it. We recognize the dignity in it. And I want to thank Ms. Brenda Roberts for keeping those efforts alive. We had so many events in those 3 days between Solomon Temple, the event held at Brock Elementary, and the festival hosted by Ivory Bay with Alderwoman Bernetta Bryant Lanier and Dr. Deidre Grimm. There are enough stars in the sky for all of us. And as far as I'm concerned, we do not have enough people hosting events for the weeping time. I'd like for them to be a little bit coordinated so that we can at least make them all. But until then, we want to encourage organizations, fraternities, sororities, churches, businesses, Black, white, everybody in between. We want to encourage your support to get the word out. There are school age children who attend Brock Elementary School. There are school age children in our district. There are college students in our city who do not know what the weeping time is. So when you have family and friends who visit Savannah, make sure you tell them what happened here in your city. And one day I will be proud to say that I am preserving, protecting the actual weeping time land and not a stand. Not just a stand, we want the whole land. You see, we're living in a day and time where we're guided, we're misguided by massive missiles of lies, where people can turn and spew a narrative and tell you what they think you want to hear as if you're not intelligent enough to get it. A lot of people remember what happened in 2020 when it came down to the vote for the weeping time. Many of us remember what happened with that vote, and we'll be playing some of those excerpts. But more importantly, recognize today that you have a super, not just a majority, you have a super African American majority council where the leader has done nothing to shepherd an opportunity for this awareness outside of this one time a year. And we don't need the President of the United States coming to Savannah, Georgia to tell us how to honor the weeping time. We need the leader of Savannah, Georgia to make provisions for real honor of the weeping time. That's what we need. And so we are so happy that we have raised up a populist. We are so excited that we have raised up an electorate of people who no longer will be misguided by the messiness of the media's messaging. They are intelligent, they're smart, they're plugged in, and they are engaged, and they get it. And we want you to continue to help us advocate for those parts of our history that, when honored, when shared, it actually brings us closer together as a community. I've often told the story of how I sat through a worship service during St. Patrick's Day celebrations, and Bishop Bolin gave remarks. And in his remarks, he acknowledged that for some of us, our history is not all that honorable. Sometimes we may be ashamed to acknowledge it. But he encouraged everyone in that congregation that day to know your history, find the good in it, embrace it, and share it. And so that's why it's incumbent upon all of us as Savannians, I don't care who you are, to help us save the weeping time land. And so as we go forth, I want to close out again with giving you information on this campaign season that's coming up. We want you to listen closely and listen thoroughly through what you hear. And I want you to match that with what you actually see and what you actually feel here in Savannah. And so we want to have you go to our website, which is kgc68mayor.com. That's KGC68mayor, because I'm going to be the 68th mayor of Savannah in 2023. I'll be sworn in 2024. But in 2023, you will make me the 68th mayor of the city of Savannah. And I cannot do it without you. I cannot do it without your support. A lot has been said, and I don't intend to respond to it where the negativity is concerned. But what we will do is go forth with our grassroots campaign. The job of the mayor pays approximately $50,000 if you're not skimming off the top or taking an extra stipend for a car allowance when you also have access to a city vehicle. So I don't intend to raise a crazy amount of money for this campaign like I've been told I have to do to win, because I have a fundamental aversion to raising money in politics. And that is because primarily I raise money for charity for over 20 years. I work really hard to raise funds for homeless families with children, victims of rape and child molestation, victims of domestic violence, youth who are vulnerable to gun violence in our community, and seniors who were nutrition insecure. So with that blend of experience and that tireless work, it's really hard for me to see resources pour into political campaigns, and it's going to be a lot this campaign season. I promise you that. But we want you to recognize that no amount is too small. And even if you were to give a little bit over time, if you go to my website at kgc68mayor.com, you will be able to click on my donation link, click on an amount desired, and you can pay or offer an amount every month for the next 9 months of this campaign season. Do that for me. And I promise you that we are going to have an amazing campaign. We're going to have a great time. I'm already having fun. The best part of campaigning for me is meeting people, meeting and greeting people. So I'm looking forward to seeing you in the city of Savannah throughout our travels. And we want to hear from you. I also want you to go to that website, and on the link of issues, there is an area for you to talk to me. I share what I see we need for Savannah after sitting in this seat for 3 years and 3 months. But here's where we are so happy about our service in this term. Uh, we have taught you that politicians should not tell you what you need or when you're going to get it. You tell us, right? You tell me, what do you want to see in Twickenham, Brickyard, Cloverdale, Tatumville, Summerside, Colonial Village? You tell me what you want to see in Wilshire, White Bluff. You tell me, what is it that you want in your community? What is it that you need? All of us pay property taxes. How do you want those dollars spent? And how much of those dollars do you want taxed, right? Go to that site, share with me information about what you want Kesha to do when she becomes the 68th mayor of Savannah. What do you think our priorities should be? We will not be guided and led by priorities of 20 and 30 years ago. What we are going to do is we're going to serve the environment of which we're in, and we're going to do what the citizens of Savannah desire for us to do. And as we do it, we will consistently be your advocate. We will consistently make ourselves accessible beyond Bay Street in that gold dome. We'll be in your neighborhoods. We will position ourselves to where we are accountable, where you can hold me accountable. And so, with that said, I can't see some of the remarks there because I don't have my reading glasses. Where are my reading glasses? I'll go back and answer some of the questions or respond to you all. I see John McMasters. That's all I can see. Listen, we are again happy to serve in this role. It's been an incredible ride as your Alderwoman at Large for Post 1. I'm so excited. To take the bull by the horn and guide us into a harmonious city that we all can be proud of. And someone asked me before, why do you keep doing this? And I keep doing it because I can. I keep doing it because I can. And for me, this isn't about a career. You know, public service is not something that I charted my course for. You don't come into public service if you want to be wealthy or you want to be rich. You come into public service because you have a heart for people. And I have a huge threshold for integrity, ethics, and doing the right thing and helping and supporting people, particularly those who need us most. And so we want to balance the dynamics between the haves and the have-nots. We want to make certain that it's understood that we are not anti-business, we're not anti-tourism. We are pro-business, and we are pro all of the things that bring Savannah together in balance. And so, with that stated, any questions that you have of me, feel free to share. There's also an area on the website where you can host a meet and greet. And a meet and greet doesn't have to be anything fancy or expensive. It could just be me coming to your living room or meeting you at a coffee shop. And so, whether it's one person or 100 people, um, put that request in and we will certainly honor it as well. So, listen, without further ado, I'm going to let you all go and enjoy the remainder of your Monday. I promise to go back in this chat when I put my glasses on and respond to each of you there. And if you have any other questions, you can also reach me by phone at 912 346 4235 for all of your city related matters. And for anything personal or for the campaign, call me at 912-220-8016. And again, go visit my website, kgc68mayor.com. Listen, it's been great being here with you all tonight. Don't forget to support my girl, Brittany Evans, as she go for the Miss America title as well. And we'll bring her back just before she leaves. Thank you all and have a good night.
I like that.